This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today in the studio are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO Zach Vassar, principal second violin and artistic administrator Merwin Sue, and a very special guest, that is Mrs. Rogene Kohler, who is on the Toledo Sister Cities International Board, also president of the Toledo German Sister Cities Committee, and certainly an appropriate guest for what we're going to talk about this morning. Welcome, Rogene. Let me play just a little bit of a fanfare to bring you in. There we go. I know that, that's the best I could do on short notice.
That's what music sounds like in Germany, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
On every corner. I can see us all in our lederhosen right now singing that fanfare.
How do you know we're not
wearing... I prefer
wearing...
to be in a dirndl rather than
that's a very good point. And for our listeners, we can all tell that we are not wearing lederhosen or dirndls right now, except I might be wearing a dirndl.
Right.
Yeah.
Except on our faces, right? Because we are masked.
That's
still.
a mask. That's a COVID mask, just so you know. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
N95 hosen.
That's a very long way of our welcoming you into the podcast family, Rogene.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, after that invitation, do you want to stay or go?
I'll stay.
Okay,
Here, let me try this again. There we go. Now you definitely stay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not every day you get serenaded with such an intricate fanfare. Yeah. So we're going to talk about this program today, which is a collaboration. Obviously, why else would you be here, Rogene? This is about Sister Cities. It is a chamber music concert. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's happening on Sunday. It's October 3rd, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Peristyle, right? Your chamber concert's there now. A lot of great music, which I've never heard before, some of it, and we'll talk about that. But first, before we do all of that, I want to talk to you, Rogene Kohler, about your background. I mean, what we do is we normally, when we have a guest, we ask them to tell their story. So I'm going to bring up some music for you, right?
Is it that fanfare again?
No, this is, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but Rogene plays the clarinet, right?
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. So this is Mozart Clarinet Concerto.
And I played that.
Is that right?
Do you really?
Well, I have at one time.
Are you playing it right now?
This recording does not feature Rogene. However, future seasons, future programming, maybe you'll make a guest appearance with the...
if I were better quality and practiced all the time, that may be, but not the way I practice now.
I say the same thing, but, I've never practiced, so here I am. Anyway.
You're still practicing.
Let's hear I'm not practicing what I'm preaching, though. Let's hear your story, Rogene. So we'll let the music play out. Go way back to the beginning. Tell us how you first started with the clarinet, and then how you transitioned to working with Sister Cities. Now you can skip all that. Just tell us what you think is appropriate.
Okay. Well, I was a German teacher at Whitmer for most of the time. I started out at START, took off a few years to start a family, and then taught for another 29 years at Whitmer.
Wow.
I was a Fulbright exchange teacher for a year in Germany, and through that, Whitmer and that school became exchange partners. That went on for 10 years. In the meantime, the wall fell. And then we added a school near Dresden in the east.
Mm-hmm.
And that one continued for 10 years too. And then we found somebody that was living near Frankfurt in the town of Gießen and added them. So Whitmer has had two exchange partners for most of the time since about 1988 or 89. And now they have still Gießen near Frankfurt, and way down in the southwest corner near France and Switzerland is the town of Lörrach, and they still have contact there.
Huh.
When you say Gießen, it always makes me think that's like the German word for plural of geese, right? Like a flock of geese, a bunch of Gießen out there.
I always thought that was Eugene Goosen and his brother.
Exactly. Well, that was where I was going next.
Is that where you're going? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
This is a very niche right there, I'm just going to say.
I'm sure our listeners will appreciate it.
About 5 years ago, or so. Our original exchange partner, our original sister city up in the north in Delmenhorst, kind of lost interest, and we have a member in our group, Dagmar Varela, who had a cousin in Coburg, so she contacted them, and they were going through the same kind of a withdrawal process from an old sister city that they had in the United States. So we decided we would do that, and that's what we've done.
So sister cities can get divorced?
Yes. In fact, one of our members, who's with a Japanese group, said that we were being a little like two people who had gone through a divorce and were being very cautious because we first had a friendship agreement, and Mayor Hicks Hudson signed that one. It was her last act as a mayor.
So you had a prenup, basically.
That's right. Exactly. And then a few months later, somebody came over from Coburg and visited, and then we signed you.
So can I separate from any of my sisters? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. Oh, great. If you really want to.
Yeah. Right. So they don't listen to this podcast, I'm assuming.
Not anymore.
Right. Okay, good.
So
hold that thought. Hang on to that thought. Before we get too far today, I want to throw out this first quiz question. This is part of our pop-up minute quiz. Let me explain how this works. I've given you guys a list of Toledo's sister cities, right? So you've got that list in front of you. I don't have Coburg on here because for some reason I missed the memo about Delmenhorst going away and Coburg taking its place. So that's not on here. But what I'm going to do is ask you to pin the tail on the sister city. In other words, name the sister city from my question, okay? And you've got the whole list right there. It'll soon become increasingly clear why I'm asking this question right away, okay? This is the question. Good. This is the oldest formally recognized sister city relationship in the world. Which one of these sister cities does that apply to? Don't give me the answer.
Yeah,
just write it down?
Write it down.
Okay.
What is this, your first quiz?
Yeah. See, we did that. We got through the minute.
Perfect.
Right there. Now, what were you going to say, Zach?
Pass. No, I was going to ask, during that friendship agreement, how do you evaluate a sister city to know if this is a good fit? What factors do you look for?
Well, I guess in conversations with them and emails with them, and as you think of things that you're interested in, and they can combine their interests with that. And it's just, if you go to Coburg, it's like the picture that probably all Americans have of what a German city looks like, with the cobblestone streets, a market square, with the city hall and the balcony of the mayor's office overlooking that. And then up on the hill is a big fortress.
Oh, great.
So it had all the visual parts, and the people were just really nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
I usually think of like mugs of beer and fancy clocks with the little characters coming out, but I guess that's more Bavarian than it is.
Technically, Coburg is in Bavaria, but they'd prefer to be called Franconia.
Oh, okay. So what's the difference?
I guess it's like if you wanted to be called a Dixie Rebel in the United States and somebody from New York City.
Oh, okay.
Wow. That's significant.
That puts it in a political light. Well, that's really interesting. Now, let's talk a little bit about this concert, because the name of the concert is Sister Cities as well. How does what Rogene has done and what she's involved with, how does that apply to the concept behind this
Not
concert?
even remotely. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
It's good to see you guys.
It's actually this is one of my favorite concerts of the year, I think. So Zach knows ever since the Toledo Alliance for the Performing Arts was formed, I have been obsessed with trying to add an S to tapa to create tapas. And
you got very close with tapa streaming.
We did come very close with tapa streaming, but in a way, there's something about that idea of little plates and sharing around in a way that's always appealed to me as a dining experience, and in a weird way...
It says a lot about your metabolism.
In a weird way, this concert is almost like a tapas eating experience, but in concert form. We're taking multiple small plates of music, pieces that are between 5 and 15 minutes long, all written by female composers who happen to be from the countries with whom we have sister city relationships. So the composers of the pieces, Elisenda Fabregas, Grazina Basevich, Ivana Deportes, Haruka Fujii, and Kala Ramnath, they're from Spain, Poland, Germany, Japan, and India. I would totally have tried to get 9. I mean, 9 or 10, but then it would have been a very long concert.
Yeah. I see a few other countries on here you could have added, but that'll be part 2, right?
Yes, part
of
2.
Your concert. And these are all female composers. That was part of the intentional mix.
Absolutely,
when
yes.
you put it together. Do you often equate programming with food?
Constantly.
I wondered about that because I sort of do the same thing sometimes here on the radio. Let's jump into our second quiz question for the day. And this, again, you have to identify what the city is that this is referring to. This city is home to one of the world's great popular bakeries. It's so in demand that they have a 4-item per customer limit to discourage scalping. Basically, people buy stuff there and then they sell it at a profit elsewhere. So we'll let the music play out here for our minute quiz.
Is that the amount of time it takes for the baked product to rise?
Exactly. You know what? Let's throw another one in here.
Sure.
This riverside town is the country's largest import-export center for a famous car maker. You have to decide what city that is. It's fairly close to where these cars are manufactured, and it's the largest import-export center. It's on the river in this country. And at the end of the podcast, we'll get all the answers to these various questions. I'm hoping, Merwin, you can't read upside down there because I've got my script right here.
Well, now he can.
Yeah, don't be looking. No cheating, right?
It's okay. I'm blindfolded. It's all good.
Can you talk a little bit about a particular piece or two, because is such a huge difference of styles and music and the approach to it. Is this all performed by strings, this concert, or are there other wind instruments involved? Talk a little bit about the actual timbres of the music.
Sure. Well, actually, the genesis of the concert really came from wanting to feature a composer from Coburg, Ivana Deportes. And she was primarily a woodwinds composer. She's actually written some wonderful works for groups of flutes, groups of clarinets. A lot of times these are used as teaching pieces for advanced students. I think a lot of times there's like kind of flute ensembles or clarinet ensembles that form in college, and then they'll perform Deportes quartets or something like that. The piece that we're doing for hers is actually a really interesting piece, Dances of Syrinx for flute and guitar. So a very unusual set of instrumentation there. And then I think it could be maybe contrasted with a piece by Haruka Fujii, it's Conversations 2020. And there's something I really love about this piece. It's a Japanese composer who wanted to, during the pandemic, create something which her percussion playing family could perform.
It's on
via
YouTube.
Zoom.
You can see the video. It's fun.
And so it's, I mean, her family is not by any means the typical amateur family group. These are really, really high quality professionals, but they're also working with some of their kids. And so it's a really fun kind of conversational piece that was designed to have great players, but also designed to kind of fit within pandemic restrictions.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly joyful to have come out of it's a really fun piece to have come out of this time. So
you're not having any kids perform it though, right?
We're training them up as we speak. How's Gracie doing in her part?
She's not practicing.
She's not practicing. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
She's reading Captain
Rogene,
Underpants.
I hope you're bringing your clarinet for the concert, just in case.
Well, I don't know that would be very good.
We're going to make you the stunt clarinetist.
Stunt clarinet.
Speaking of which, I'm curious. Maybe you can tell us a little bit of your story. You know, your avocational story. I know you were a German teacher for many, many years, but how does the music and clarinet playing and all of that fit into it?
Just
hang on a second. Let me pull you up some music. Okay. There we go. We're back to our clarinet. You know what? Let's try this instead. Okay. I know that's guitar, but just wait for it. There you go.
Oh.
Okay. Rogene's clarinet story. Take 2. There you go.
Well, like most kids, I started in the 5th grade when the kids from the 6th grade came in and played their instruments, and I thought that sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I just kept doing it. Enjoyed it all the way through high school and got into college and decided that I would continue studying, not only taking clarinet lessons, but I took a couple years of music theory and a conducting class, and I audited a brass tech class, and so I have a minor in music just for fun.
Wow, you're like a triple, quadruple threat there.
And now, when we get back to practicing again, I play with a group of ladies called the Licorice Chicks.
Very nice, the Licorice Chicks. I totally want to
That's
hear.
amazing. Let's have them in the performance studio.
I think we need to definitely do something with that.
That's wonderful.
The Licorice Chicks. You gotta be careful how you. That's hard to say.
Yeah.
Who came up with that title?
I don't know, because it was already well underway before they invited me to join them.
Yeah.
Right.
So you were a licorice chick
Yep.
in the
Aspiring.
long history of licorice chicks. Good
That's
to know.
amazing.
Yeah.
If they ever go on a Sister Cities tour, do we know how to say licorice chicks in multiple languages?
Yeah. How do you say it in German? Licorice chick.
Well, I don't know the word for licorice in German, but licorice Hündchen.
Hähnchen. Yeah, a little hen. I like that.
I love it.
Excellent. Well, we'll give you applause for that. Let me bring out your music. Perfect. Good timing there. Let's jump into a couple more questions here while we're at it. It's believed that the name of this city comes from the word for corner, referring to the turn of the river that flows through it. That's question number 4. Number 5 is, this area was part of the ancient Roman Empire, long known as the breadbasket of its country, home to olive groves, wheat fields, vineyards, figs, and pomegranate trees. Sounds like a nice place to vacation. Okay, I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about that, or a couple of seconds, as it were. Okay.
So, Merwin, I'm thinking about the program you were discussing earlier, and give us a sense of the time that these women were composing. Are they all contemporary composers? Are some older, some newer? Given that one of these is obviously a pandemic composition.
Actually, 2 of them are.
Is that right?
Elisenda Fabregas's Masks is also a pandemically inspired piece, though she had actually started working on it before. But
she just wanted to wear masks for the heck of it, and then found out that she needed them. Yeah,
it's funny because that's a clarinet trio, and you would think that would be difficult to perform, but
not for Rogene. She'll just pick it right up. She just demonstrated for us.
So one of my favorite pieces on the program is by Gricina Basevich, who is. This piece was written in the mid-20th century. It's written in 1951, but it actually feels to me a little bit more like compositions of Bartók and Shostakovich in the late 1930s, early 1940s. It's a wonderfully crafted piece. This piano quintet is maybe the largest little plate. And then, so we have 3 composers, Elisenda Fabregas, Fujii and Ramnath, who are currently composing today, and Deportes and Basevich are from the last century, kind of the turn of that century.
You mentioned Kala Ramnath, and the piece that you're doing of hers is called Amrit. It's 50 for the Future from the Kronos Quartet. It's part of that project.
Yes.
Can you tell us what that project is about?
That project it's just a stunning gift. The Kronos Quartet, if pressed, I would have to say that they are the most influential string quartet for me, and I would say that it would be hard to argue that they're one of the most influential chamber ensembles of the 21st century. They chose to commission 50 different pieces, but they wanted to make them part of the new, to really expand the canon. And so what they did is not only did they commission these pieces, they put the scores and parts available for free for any string quartet to download. They gave instructional videos on some of the incredibly difficult techniques that the Kronos Quartet has mastered over the years, and now you get to see them demonstrate how they do this. And this particular piece, Amrit, is wonderful because we get to really delve into the intricacies of classical Indian violin ornamentation, viola, and cello ornamentation. And, just to watch, and Ms. Ramnath is an amazing violinist, one of the great instrumentalists. And watching her demonstrate this is so fascinating, because not only do you get to kind of hear the music and kind of get wowed by the ornamentation, she demonstrates how she's doing it, so you're getting a behind the scenes look.
And what's interesting about this, I mean, the music is a wonderful synthesis, sort of the Western European instruments with the classical Indian instruments like the tabla and what have you. Kronos has recorded sort of like a drum track, which they make available for people who want to perform it, of the tabla, of the background music, and then your string quartet can play on top of that, which I think is so interesting. I want to listen to just a little bit of it, because along with all the music, they posted a sound recording of it online. And this is part of the raga, which is the second half of the piece, but it sounds instantly like Indian classical music, but then it gets very almost Bach-like in the strings. Let's listen for a second.
Wow.
Yeah, it really takes you to a different world, incredible music. Do you find, Merwin, that it's a challenge with all your classical training to do pieces from all these different cultures?
I think it's wonderful in a way, because it's almost like if you've ever been traveling and you're going to you're going swimming outdoors, and you're like, the only way to get into that cold lake is to just jump in. And you just, so it's like you're looking at the music and you're thinking, I have no idea how I am going to get from what's on the page to what I've been hearing. And then you just start, and then you realize, oh wait, if I, and it, just like jumping into a cold pool, you warm up, you acclimate, and then and it's like, at first you freeze, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh no, wait, no, this flows too. Yeah. So it's a really interesting experience. There's, at least I can only speak for myself right now. I am not anywhere near the speed that it needs to get to, but it's, you have
a little bit of time. You have until Sunday.
It's getting there. It's it's the blood's starting to flow again. So it's really fun. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm also curious, for a listener like you, Rogene, listening to that piece just now. I mean, does that stimulate your creative imagination? Most people are used to hearing a different kind of music when they go to a symphony concert or even a chamber concert, but this is a really adventurous, as Merwin says, kind of plate, or meal of music. And you find that sort of approach appealing?
Yeah, I think so. It's just like the appetizer.
Yeah, it's interesting. So you've had one little taste of the concert. We should mention that it's happening on Sunday. That's October 3rd at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Toledo Museum of Art Peristyle. A lot of different music on here from different cultures, different countries, some by living composers, some by past composers, and really interesting stories in music that are to be had on this concert. Let me ask you, Rogene, going back to the whole sister cities idea, how does somebody become a sister city? I mean, do we approach somebody else and say, hey, you want to hook up? Or do they come to us and say, we love you guys, can we have some kind of relationship? How does that work?
Is there a match.com? Is there a match.com for this?
The answer to that is yes. They come to us sometimes. Sometimes we go to them. The example that I gave with Coburg, because we had a member whose family, one of her cousins lived in Coburg. So we had that connection, and we just called him or wrote to him and said, hey, how about it? Yeah. But then we have other...
Was that before or after Delmenhorst bit the dust?
That was after.
Okay.
That was as we were talking about having divorces and things like that. Oops.
It's okay if you bump the microphone.
I can tell it's still emotional for you.
Yes. Yes. The microphone's not going to, do anything to you.
Yeah.
So.
With Delmenhorst, a couple of the main leaders died, and the interest kind of just dwindled in. And so we decided it was time to look around. So
what would you say is like, the strongest relationship for sister cities with us?
You mean by which countries have the strongest relationships?
Well, I mean, which when are you equally engaged with all of these sister cities? Are there programs, exchanges, things going on? Or is it...
Some of us do more than others.
Yeah. I know I don't want you to pick favorites.
No.
Or you don't want to pick favorites.
Right, and I don't want to say, they don't do anything either.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll bleep it out later.
Oh, okay.
Never trust him.
Never trust him.
Never trust them.
He always says that to me, too, when I tell a great joke. Right. Is there a sister city relationship in the country that everybody aspires to? Is there somebody, do you, for example, say, oh my gosh, Boston has the sister city relationship with blank, and someday we want to be as cool as them?
Unfortunately, I don't think we have that much of a connection with anybody.
Interesting.
Not that we couldn't have, but for instance, I'm thinking just of our own sister city. We're just right now up over our ears trying to get an internship going.
Yeah.
And also we have our international festival that has a lot of stuff to keep us busy. But
that's usually in April, I think.
Yeah, but because thanks to COVID, it's been postponed 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Wow.
So right now we're looking at early June 2022.
Okay.
So.
Well, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll happen, because it seems like a wonderful event.
Well, and Toledo is really a very diverse city.
Yeah.
And for the most part, people get along with each other, which you can't say about every place.
Right.
And we try to not only have...
Can't even say that about this room sometimes.
Oh, quit it, Brad.
And we try to include some of the diversity that also is not one of the 10 countries that we have, so that we have entertainers from other countries that are here in Toledo, but just not necessarily a sister city,
Yeah.
Right.
so that we can keep things really as diverse as possible.
Is there? Whoops.
Oh, hang on, hold that thought. Let me throw out a couple of more quiz questions.
That's
you
Chopin.
forget?
You
You
never
forget?
you never see him coming. He just sneaks up on you. I mean, in
forgot
the
we
middle
had a
of a
quiz.
sentence,
You forgot it, didn't you?
I just get lulled into a moment of peace, and then minute waltz.
Yes, that's
We're
what we do
waltzing.
here. Let's see if I can figure out where we
We
left
were on
off.
E
Okay.
or 5.
Okay, number 6. Known for its textiles and temperate climate, among other things, this city was named after a local goddess. Okay. Number 7 is a major port city. It lies near the start or the beginning of one of the 7 wonders of the world. I'm not talking about the ancient wonders of the world. I'm talking about the new 7 wonders of the world, which was established maybe 20 years ago. Okay. There's only 2 more questions to go after this.
So we can only be ambushed one more time.
Only one more time. Okay, Zach, I'm going to let you pick up where you left off.
I'm still
Go
working on my project over here. Are there any relationships that are currently under consideration, or any dating that's happening before years of
Marriage?
friendship? Yeah.
Yeah, good one. Hang on, let me pull up some music for this. No, we want to hear all about it. All right, what's on the dating front for
These
Toledo?
are sister cities. Sisters.
Yes, they're a little more familial, perhaps. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me find something that's a little more. You know what? We'll just go back to this one. There we go. Okay. Any potential sisters out there?
Ferrara, Italy right now seems to
Oh.
be kind of on the books.
Wow.
Italy, you said?
Yeah, Italy.
Okay. Well, that's it then, right? Or is there anything else?
Not that I can think of.
That's it. Okay, Italy.
All
It's
right.
all on you.
That would have made this quiz 10% better.
Exactly.
So I'm sorry to ask all these questions about sister cities here, but we seem to be blessed with a lot of wonderful relationships, and maybe even a budding one in Italy. What does this bring to a town like ours to have all of these international relationships?
Well, speaking as a teacher and a parent, although my kids are grown up now, but we have grandchildren, I think it's a really neat thing for people to be exposed to different ways of thinking about doing something. That there's not just one and only way that something can be approached. The food is different, the automobiles are different, or maybe they don't even have automobiles.
Yeah.
It's important to experience lots of different things and then make your own self out of the accumulation of those things.
It seems like part of what Sister Cities does, and the whole idea of Sister Cities, is bringing that culture to you. It's sort of like a way of armchair tourism, which is really a big deal over the past year plus with the pandemic going on. People can sort of immerse themselves vicariously in all these different cultures.
Right, and so you can get a little bit of a feel for it, or a little bit of a taste for it at the International Festival, because there are foods from a lot of different countries there, entertainment. There's usually also a language corner, so for half an hour, how much you're going to learn in a half hour, but at least you get a taste of it.
Hey, don't knock learning stuff in half an hour. That's what our podcast is all about.
And by the end of this podcast, you should know how to ask for the washroom in any language, right?
Yeah,
There you
or
go.
just learn how to turn off the radio. One or the other.
But, there are a lot of food vendors there. There are a lot of somebody that every half hour they change the language that somebody's teaching. So we get sometimes some of the students from UT that are from a lot of different places.
That's
as
interesting.
well as the usual Spanish, French, German type stuff.
Now, I know you have a predilection toward languages, but what is the most delicious food discovery you've made through your Sister Cities experience? Because Merwin's looking for more food analogies to
Absolutely,
take.
that's very important.
I'm afraid I'm the wrong person to ask about food. I'm not a food person.
Really?
I eat because I have to eat to live.
Wow.
I've heard about people like you.
We thought you were mythological until today.
No, there are lots of good foods in lots of different places.
Yeah.
We discovered that what was considered a typical Swedish dish was I think hot dogs and baked beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you go to Germany, you can get your currywurst.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you go to Coburg, you get a little tiny bun with a huge long, like a foot long
Sure.
sausage sticking out on both ends.
Yeah, I mean, sweet and savory in Germany. Nobody does the sweets like they do. I mean, maybe the French, maybe the Italians, maybe a few others, but yeah, having spent a good deal of time in Germany myself, I can attest to the earthiness and the richness of their cuisine. Well, we've got just a couple of questions to go on our quiz, so let's do that. Number 8. This city is known as its country's musical capital, home to famous choirs and a famous annual violin competition. You should get this one, Merwin.
Not.
Right? Number 9, and the final question is, this port city's name means sail, S-A-I-L, and its country is home to the highest single freestanding mountain in the world. Okay? You had something to say, Zach, or were you
now
choking?
I'm all backward.
Choking
Yeah, I'm
on
choking.
a Mozart
I'm choking.
Kugel over there.
All right. Now I got this all backwards.
Yeah. I was very confident.
I was too.
And now
That threw you off,
I'm
huh?
totally thrown.
Yeah, hopefully I did it right. We'll see. Okay. Well, there are 9 questions. I got the answers for you. Let's bring back this music. Here we go. Okay. Number 1, the oldest formally recognized sister city relationship in the world, of course, exists between Toledo
And Toledo.
Spain, Toledo and Toledo, Ohio. So, oldest in the world. Really interesting that is the case. Number 2, this city is home to one of the world's most popular bakeries. That would be the Bombay Bakery in Hyderabad, Pakistan. Okay. Number 3, this riverside town is the country's largest importer and exporter of a famous car-making brand. That would be Toyota in Toyohashi, Japan. Number 4, it's believed the name of this city comes from the word for corner, referring to the turn of the river that flows through it. Well, the word for corner in Hungarian is Czeg, and so that would be Szeged, Hungary. Number 5, this area was part of the ancient Roman Empire, known as the breadbasket of its country, with olive groves, wheat fields, vineyards, figs, pomegranate trees. That is the Becca, is that how you say it? Becca Valley in Lebanon. Number 6, known for its textiles and temperate climate. This city was named after a local goddess. That would be Coimbatore. Is that how you say it? Coimbatore? Coimbatore, India. Okay. See, I'm learning as we go along.
Every
Number
half
7.
hour.
Every half hour. A half hour's worth of learning in 7 minutes. Okay, a major port city. It lies near the start of one of the 7 wonders of the world. That would be Qinhuangdao, China, because it's very close to where the Great Wall of China emerges or meets the sea. Okay, this city is known as its country's musical capital with the famous violin competition. That's the International Henryk Wieniawski Violin Competition. So, obviously, the one from Poland, that would be the city of Poznan, right? And finally, that leaves Tanzania. Tanga, Tanzania, for the port city means sail. Tanga meaning sail. And it also has the highest single freestanding mountain in the world. What mountain is that? Do you know, for extra credit?
Is it Mount Kilimanjaro?
No, I forgot what it is, actually, but I'll look it up later.
Thanks, Brad. The more you know.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So I just want to make sure that you got 9 out of 9.
No, I did really badly. I only got 3.
It must have been the clues, not, you know.
Yes, we'll blame the clues.
Blame that, yes.
Yeah.
You're wearing a blue shirt. It's Blue's Clues.
Yes, something like that. Went off the rails a little bit, though, but that's okay.
So this is the first chamber performance of the 21-22 season, and a lot of people have been asking why we're not doing this at the Toledo Club. We've done the series there for a long time, but last year, of course, due to COVID, we moved it to the Peristyle, so the audience that would normally cram into the Red Room of the Toledo Club could spread out over the Peristyle. And we discovered that it was actually not a bad place for chamber music. We figured the music would get lost there, and it turned out to be just as beautiful and intimate as any performance that happens there. So COVID's still, of course, with us. Not as gone as we wish. So we're going to stay there for another year at the Peristyle. But we hope someday to be able to take music back to the Toledo Club and those big wood-paneled walls. But this is, of course, one of the things we do to make music in safety.
And when you come back to the Toledo Club, then you can actually serve tapas and have the concert at the same time.
Parte. You called it parte.
I have learned through COVID that a lot of people align their consumption of the arts with consumption of alcohol, because a lot of people are asking about, well, if we go to the museum, can we still get wine and cheese? That's what they're used to getting at the Toledo Club. So
yeah, but they've had some. They've opened up the cafeteria to some of the concerts.
Cafe, and now we'll have the refreshments again as well.
Yeah, that's great news. Well, the concert is called Sister Cities. It's a selection of works by female composers of all different countries and cultures. That is happening at the Peristyle, as we mentioned, at the Museum of Art. And the concert is Sunday, October 3rd at 7 o'clock p.m. You can find out more information about that program, also get your tickets. The website is toledosymphony.com, or call up the box office at 419-246-8000. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony, with generous support from the Rita Barber Kern Foundation. You can download episodes of our program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple and Google Podcasts. Remember, you can check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website, that's toledosymphony.com, and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find the TSO streaming platform that's online at stream.artstoledo.com. My thanks to Zach Vassar, Merwin Sue, and our special guest, Rogene Kohler. I'm Brad Cresswell, and this has been Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.